Philip Hanatakis, you're a friend of the Golden Dawn movement. Now, Golden Dawn movement has become very well known around Europe and around the world. Some people describe it as a neo-Nazi and a fascist group. How would you respond to that?
We don't have any connection with ideologies of the last century. Instead, we are something new, something that was born from our modern needs. We needed, because of our geographical position, near Turkey, near Africa, near Asia, we needed a nationalist policy. We can't have millions of immigrants a day. So we have this, the nationalist element, if you want. But also we need the socialist element. What is that? The capitalist policies of today brought Greece into a great misery. Half the population is poor. There are no prospects for the future. The memorandum is slowly and steadily killing us. So we needed a way to counter that problem,
Right.
which is, of course, socialism.
Okay.
The same socialism that you can say Syriza supports.
Right. Okay, so is the Golden Dawn movement primarily about anti-immigration then?
You can say that our social agenda is primarily focused on the immigrant, but that's not. But Golden Dawn is not strictly anti-immigration. It has also other elements, as I try to expose, so to speak.
It's come to light in the news over here that Golden Dawn have been involved in attacks on immigrants, physical attacks on immigrants. Is that something that you agree with, or is that something that you believe Golden Dawn have been involved in?
I'm not saying that the Golden Dawn supports those attacks, and I am, of course, against those attacks, because I believe that through politics we can solve this immigration problem. But this kind of violence, these racist attacks, are indicative of our times. We are facing a very large immigration problem, and of course, some people will react this way. This is something that we cannot control or change yet. But we try. If we reduce immigration, if we don't have millions of immigrants that do not have any knowledge, are poor and needy, and resort to stealing and other criminal activities, then we would have a peaceful society.
While you say you don't support those racist attacks, would you agree that the message that Golden Dawn is sending out there can lead to nothing other than violent attacks on immigrants?
No. The Golden Dawn says, simply enough, to deport all these illegal immigrants. After we check them, we shall deport them. There's no need for violence. There's no need for attacks if we complete this program, if we do this and just deport them.
So who do you think is behind these attacks on immigrants?
Not someone specifically. Spontaneous civilians, like in the riots in Patra, if you have heard. Golden Dawn was a small minority among those riots in Patra. The rest were civilians.
Okay.
There wouldn't be any point if Golden Dawn did those racist attacks, because we want to deport them.
Okay.
That's why we are a political party.
Alright, so you're saying that Golden Dawn don't have any part in violent attacks on immigrants?
Indeed.
Now, it's also been alleged that there are quite a number of police in Golden Dawn. Is that true?
Members are not police officers are not allowed to be members of any political party.
Okay, but it's been alleged that they're members of the Golden Dawn movement, though, regardless.
What can I say? I can tell you this, that due to the recent chaos that Greece has fallen into, we are trying as much as we can to restore order. And some members of the police also want this. That's why they will be supporting Golden Dawn.
So members of the Greek police do support Golden Dawn?
It was shown, yes, that they do.
And is that right? I mean, that a police force should be supporting a political party?
I don't have any specific opinion for this. Personally, I'm not very fond of them. But as I told you before, I cannot officially tell you the exact position of the Golden Dawn regarding this issue. One
of your members of Parliament assaulting she was a socialist member of Parliament in the middle of a TV debate. I mean, what do you think that does to people's perception of what Golden Dawn stands for?
I think that it was an unfortunate moment, but at the same time it was provoked by those two socialists. If you can see the clip of this moment, you can see that Mrs. Duru was very happy that she broke Ilias Kassidiaris. You can see that this was the kind of reaction that she pursued.
Yeah, provoked or not, but do you think that's the behaviour becoming of an elected representative or anybody else?
It was just an unfortunate moment. Our representative is a normal human being. He can become angry. And on the first 45 minutes of this interview, they never allowed him to complete his sentences. They never answered his own questions.
Uh-huh.
He tried to be as calm as possible, but when he was faced with such audacity, he just became angry. It was normal. It was a human feeling. What can I say? Mm-hmm. Of course, I didn't want this to happen, but it happened.
Right. Okay. Now, there's also several other allegations made about the Golden Dawn movement. In 1998, the Golden Dawn movement attacked the vocalist of the band The Last Drive, and that Click magazine, the left-wing newspaper, reported that members of Golden Dawn were responsible for the attack. Also in 2000, there was suspects vandalised a synagogue, and there was claims that Golden Dawn symbols were present. How do you respond to that?
I am a new member of the Golden Dawn, so I'm not aware of those attacks.
Right, okay. So would you say then that Golden Dawn have not been involved in any acts of violence at all?
I'm not saying that, but there are unfortunate moments. When you strive for ideals we represent, there will be conflict. Just like anarchists strive for a society that they dream of. They also use violence, but why they use violence?
Right.
To form this society.
Okay, and so to form that society, so what is it? What is the society that Golden Dawn wants to see? What is its vision?
You can read about our vision on our political manifesto.
Okay, but can you tell us about it briefly for the show?
We want a society of equals. The society we dream of is very same to the society the ancient Spartan Lycurgus has created, which was a society free of inequality, financial and social. This is a brief description of the society we dream of.
And how close are you to achieving that dream?
We're coming closer every day, but there's still lots of work to do. Through our articles on the central news page, there are many articles, we try to create a fertile ground for this socialist element of our party, that we must care about each other. Each Greek must fight for the other Greeks, must help the other Greeks. He must give his excess income for the weaker Greeks. He must make those sacrifices to help his compatriots. Okay,
now in recent elections, the penultimate election, you got 21 seats in the parliament, and in the last election, you got 18 seats in the parliament. Now, that drop of 3 seats, do you see that as the Greek people turning against Golden Dawn in some way?
This is just part of the system. We had the same percentages. In the first elections, we had 6.92%, 6.97%. And in the final elections, we had 6.92%. We just lost 0.05% of the vote. But we lost 3 MP seats because our election system, gives bonus seats to the first party. And because Nudu gained once again the first place with more votes, she got more bonus seats from every other party in the parliament.
Right.
So that reduction is not about the fall of our percentages, but part of the election system in Greece.
You know, we can see the images of Golden Dawn members in the streets with flying flags that are very, very similar to neo-Nazi flags, yet you reject the term neo-Nazis. One of your members, I believe his name is Yanis Lagos, is that right? He's an MP, Golden Dawn MP, has addressed different rallies complaining about Egyptian fishermen and so on. Surely you'd have to accept that mass movements like that, people dressed in the combat gear that Golden Dawn members dress in, flying neo-Nazi flags, saying those things about Egyptian fishermen in the markets, surely you'd have to accept that that is incitement to hatred.
No. We're just exposing the biggest social problem, which is immigration. I don't understand what you say what you mean when you say neo-Nazi flag. We have our movement holds many flags. We have the flag of Greece. We have the flag of our party. We have the Celtic cross, which is the flag of the white people.
Well, I'm talking in particular about the flag that looks very similar to the old Nazi swastika. It's a red background and with a black symbol. Now, I know it's an ancient Greek symbol, but it is where the German Nazi party took the swastika from. So it you can see very clear resemblance between that flag and other neo-Nazi flags around the world.
You're talking about the similar colors?
The similar design of the flag, yeah.
The colors, those colors, black, white and red, was used during the Greek Revolution.
On one of the documentaries I mentioned, there's reports here from people who were beaten up in the streets, and they said they were beaten up by people wearing T-shirts and Golden Dawn was written on the T-shirt. Then surely that means that Golden Dawn have been involved in these violent attacks.
Those witnesses were proven many times to be false. The usual tactic is to blame it on the Golden Dawn.
Okay, so you're saying that Golden Dawn haven't been involved in any attacks on immigrants. So you're saying that Golden Dawn haven't been involved in any attacks on immigrants, it's just been made up.
There is not any proof. If you can bring me any proof, then I'll be glad to receive.
Okay, Philip, you're a friend of the Golden Dawn movement. Thank you very much for joining us.
Taxation and inflation, are they caused by immigration? Bullshit! Get off it! The enemy is profit! Rotations! No borders! No nations! No rotations! No borders! No nations!
My name's Helena Sheehan. I'm a professor at DCU. Yeah. I've been to Athens recently, and I've seen the terror that Golden Dawn are striking on the streets. I've seen how terrorised immigrants to Greece are, particularly. I don't think that it's the main danger to Greece. I think the Troika and the global plutocracy is the biggest problem. Greek people were not walking around before the crisis despising foreigners and immigrants that came to the country for a better life.
Where does this golden movement come from?
Well, a lot of it is from scarcity. They just see the immigrants that are nearer and they say there's not enough to go around.
So I'm here today, I joined the Anti-Racism Network last year, and as an Irish person who lives a comfortable life and doesn't really have that many troubles, through the ARN I've seen the difficulty that people have in Ireland, especially immigrants, and I feel really passionately about it now, and I came today because just through the ARN I've become a lot more aware of the rise of fascism, and it's something that I think I would have been a little bit more ignorant about if I wasn't part of the ARN, and obviously it's something that it scares me, and I'll do anything I can to put a stop to it. I didn't know a lot about the Nazi Golden Dawn party in Greece before this protest was organised, and that's what I love about these kind of things, is that you get ordinary people who might be otherwise ignorant just learning a lot more about the dangers of fascism, or even say for me direct provision would be a big thing that I've learned about in the last year.
And is there a danger of something like Golden Dawn could happen in Ireland?
Absolutely, without a doubt, without a shadow of doubt. I think it can happen anywhere when people, and I mean, you just have to look at Nazi Germany and say, well, it was an economic crisis. People were afraid of what might happen, and they did look at immigrants and go, well, we don't want you here because you're taking away our jobs.
I suppose today is very important in the sense that as the fascists in Greece and the racists in Greece sending a message to the rest of the world that they can be out on the streets, they can kill people, as we heard today. A Pakistani immigrant has been stabbed to death, and they can attack migrants and Muslims and immigrants. We have to be out on the streets to make sure that international solidarity against racism and fascism does exist. It is big, it is vocal, and it is in solidarity and in unity in many ways and many forms. And I think it's an important message to take on from our Greek brothers and sisters to make sure these things don't creep into our lives, on our streets, in our workplaces, in this country and any other country around Europe. I mean, the cuts, we have a banner, for example, that says cuts breed racism. In Ireland, we have a very dangerous and imminent problem where cuts, as they continue to happen on ordinary people, are also have the potential to create sentiments against migrants.
So how are things in Greece? I mean, we've heard a lot here about the Golden Dawn movement, but what's it actually like there?
I heard some others before me saying that the phenomenon kind of went into burst the last few years with the arrival of a mass amount of migrants in Greece from Asia and Africa. The truth is that fascism in Greece, it has been around for at least 60 years. From the Nazi German occupation participants in the 40s, rivals of the
extreme left and left during the civil war.
And how dangerous is it at the moment in Greece with Golden Dawn on the rise?
The danger this time is actually the opportunity of the extreme right to have a platform in the Greek Parliament.
And from your, as you said, you've got a foot in both camps between Ireland and Greece. What do you think we can do in Ireland to prevent something like this happening here?
In Ireland, fascism it was more hidden. In Ireland, fascism was more hidden than in Greece, and is still more hidden than Greece. And you can see that on the attitudes regarding women's rights, for example.
We don't need your racial hate.
Today we are here because we have been called upon, first of all, to show solidarity with the anti-racist campaign in Greece. And we also understand that racism and fascism in one country, especially the neo-Nazi fascism in one country, Greece, is not just an isolated incident that just worries the people of Greece. It also worries us around the world, all of us anti-fascists and anti-racists. The rise of Golden Dawn and their attacks, their bolder and more violent attacks on the streets, are sending a clear message of hope to the racists and fascists around the world. We have seen what happened in Norway, for example. We have seen on an ongoing basis what's happened in Greece. We have seen what's happened in London over the last few weeks. Therefore, we are here to say today we will not allow these things to happen in Dublin, and we are here today to say we are internationalists who are standing shoulder to shoulder with anti-fascists and anti-racists in Greece and around the world.
I think it is very important that we here we are showing solidarity with people in Greece. There's so much danger on what is happening through the whole continent. You can see in countries like France, in Hungary, the far right is getting more and more confident. It is very important that as we are facing the cuts, as we are facing all the economic restraint, the more the people will start to be more confident on the racism, on fascism.
Dedicated to anti-fascists throughout the whole world, and especially today dedicated to the memory of 27-year-old Shahzad Luqman from Pakistan, who was murdered by racists last night as he went to work by bicycle. He was stabbed to death while cycling through Patrolona, Athens, an area with a high population of immigrants and many incidents of neo-Nazi violence towards foreigners. This murder is unfortunately not an isolated incident, but we are dedicating the day of action to the memory of Shahzad Luqman, as he is the latest victim of racist crime. Before Golden Dawn got into Parliament, these stabbings and beatings, often resulting in death, only happened at night, like the last incident. However, since they got into Parliament, they have become bolder and are running amok with batons and knives in broad daylight in central Athens. The police are part of the problem, so it is therefore unchecked. We are at an impasse, especially as the police are now beating and arresting Greeks who report these crimes.
I'd like to just very briefly talk about this Frontex issue. Frontex is the European Union Border Defence Agency, and it's been heavily funded, despite the cuts on all sorts of things like health, education, etc. around the European countries. Frontex is still being heavily sponsored and funded by European Union. What Frontex does is it builds fences around Europe. And one of the fences they're building is between the Turkish and the Greek border. It's an 80 to 100 miles border. And you know what this means? This means €1 billion, up to €1 billion to the Greek taxpayer, to the Greek workers who have been heavily hit. And now Golden Dawn, having the sort of voice they are having, right, is insisting on mining that border. And at the time when the European Union is receiving Nobel Peace Prizes for not having conflicts, for not having war, they're mining Australian territory so that immigrants would not enter Greece.
Well, I've heard reports from Greece that it's very dangerous for people to go out in certain areas when the Golden Dawn street gangs are prowling. So gay people from any ethnic minority that might be considered not Greek could be easily targeted. There's reports of people being attacked in the streets while the police stand idly by. The Golden Dawn have a very high support among the Greek police, something up to 50% of their members are suspected of being in the police. So
do you think there's a danger anything like that could happen in Ireland?
There's always a danger. We have to be vigilant about fascism because it preys on people's fears and spreads lies. Then in order,
I mean, I'm glad to be here. Show solidarity with those in Greece who are fighting fascists, or they actually have like a toehold in Parliament.
Do you think there's a danger something ever that dangerous could happen in Ireland?
Well, I mean, I know there's no organised fascist group in Ireland, luckily, but that's not to say it can't happen.
Well, we don't know much about the Golden Dawn. We know that now with the crisis in all Europe, right-wing organizations and parties are growing up, and they are having this rhetoric about migration and about Europe for the European and European jobs for European workers. So there have been many attacks in Greece, and now is the situation where movements are also really strong, and normally fascism grows up when movements are strong. So we have to be strong as well in Ireland and show our solidarity. We as Anti-Racist Network completely support the struggles that Greek workers and Greek anti-fascism are doing at the moment, and so we felt it was our duty to organize this demonstration and to show our solidarity.
Taxation and inflation, are they caused by immigration? Bullshit! Get off it! The enemy is profit! Rotation! No borders! No nations! No